That's right back, Charlie. That's right.
You always use that active when defending. I think it's like. You always use that active when defending. I think it's like. You always use that active when defending. I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on. Come on, Ian, like the big man Ian Wright just said there. People deluded, I'm back again. Yeah, man, I hope you're all doing well and safe. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. I hope you're all having a great Monday off the back of a somewhat fantastic weekend in your personal and private lives. I won't necessarily mention Arsenal. Another day, another defeat. We're out the FA Cup. And it's not the end of the world, but for me, it's the end of the world, man. I know some fans, if I'm honest, if I'm completely honest with you, I'm 28. Fans that are typically younger than me are a bit snooty about the FA Cup and things like that. I wanted to win it. I don't think we've been doing well in this competition. Quite frankly, I think we've been embarrassing ourselves in this competition since we last won it. We had 14. I wanted the glorious number 15. It is what it is, people. And it's the same old, really. It doesn't matter if we're playing the FA Cup, Premier League. It's the same old question marks defensively, the same old question marks with the 1 or 2, 3 footballers that are performing. And ultimately, right now, we're not scoring goals, regardless, Mikel Arteta, Klopp, Pep, historically, Conte, Jose, Wenger, Conte. You lot throw any manager's name that you want at your screen or however you're watching this, right? All of these managers see football different ways, different philosophies. Last time I checked, regardless of that, though, they all have to accomplish the same thing. Keep balls out of your net, put balls in the back of your opponents. You can't do that. You're in problems, which we're facing at the moment, and I don't know where we start. I've got a video coming out at 2 p.m. where I've kind of articulated all my thoughts. I'm exhausted, man. I'm kind of saying the same things week in, week out, man. Like winning, losing, drawing, it comes with football personally. But it's how you do it, really. You have to be gracious in defeat. Congratulations to Liverpool. Their interns made their debuts. They went there without a couple of key players. First off, they dealt well. We were throwing a lot of knockout blows or attempting to. They ate all of those punches. They walked away. They're in the next round of the FA Cup. It's happy days. For Arsenal, Premier League form has been woeful. Champions League is a pipe dream. Premier League, we're going to need a lot of luck and a lot of blessings from the footballing gods. It's the same old, same old. As I said yesterday in my review, and big up to you lot who looked at it, right? Obviously, no 2 games are the same. But if you was to get elements as to why this game went right or wrong for Arsenal against Liverpool, you did the same against Aston Villa. You did the same against Newcastle. You did the same against West Ham. And you was to just get how you felt about these games and remove the fact that you thought this about the game and you played a random game, a random kind of word association game. How many so a lot of the things you said about Liverpool could be said in all of these games. It's the same old things. And indirectly, the players have to take responsibility. But starting with the gaffer, I don't think there's enough balance when speaking about Mikel Arteta. I think, rightly so, there's probably going to be pitchforks out for the guy at this moment in time. And then I think there's fans where literally Mikel Arteta could shit in his hands and clap and they'll say, oh my God, he's the guy. You can't say this guy's got all this potential and is the bit he can take Arsenal this way, that way and the other. And when things go well, sing to the high heavens and not ask questions. I'm not advocating scapegoating of Mikel Arteta or any other player, but you've got to take the rough with the smooth. With great power comes great responsibility. Money has been spent. There's an element of expectation on building on of what you did last season, regardless of focusing on the domestic campaign, regardless of what Liverpool, City and all of these teams do. I still think we are our biggest enemies. We are the reason we didn't win that Premier League trophy last year. Take nothing away from Manchester City. We had it in our hands. We bottled it. We are the reason we started this season relatively well for all the question marks. And I don't think we took heed of the warning signs. You know, there's how many dramatic wins and comebacks and all of these things. A lot of what we have seen in this Arsenal team when we've been winning games have been there all season. And now obviously we're losing. It's not really a positive sentiment at the club. I think we defeat ourselves before anyone defeats us. I don't think we control fine margins. I still think we have an inability of considering that. And I know the players and the gaffer know this, but it's not good enough to be the better team. You need to score goals. And it's not good enough to be the better team for the majority of 90 minutes. You need to get through. That is now the scenario we're in. As I keep saying, big up Mikel Arteta from when you've walked into this football club to what you're doing, well, what you did up until a point of last season, in that we're relatively happy again. There's some competitive edge and stuff. But when you strip that and look at winning a league title, it's a bit of a madness, really and truly. Like, it's an absolute madness. We make things 10 times harder than it needs to be, in my opinion. Now, I've tried to articulate my thoughts. When I look at Mikel Arteta, you've invented this mess indirectly due to your assembling of the squad. I focused on it again, watch the video that came out at 2 p.m. But Mikel Arteta, out of his own mouth, said, we need to be a team that gets 90 to 100 goals. You look around that team. Who's doing that? Where's the striker? It's not happening, is it? He then said recently this week, you know, what Odegaard, Saka and Martinelli did was an anomaly in terms of the goals they scored last season. So, again, I rate Mikel Arteta. I think you're a very intelligent man. I think you're very methodical. This is where I have to hold you to a higher account. If you're saying that now, what was you sitting there and saying in August? We're not building the squad strong enough. Did you genuinely sit there and think Gabriel Jesus, for all his qualities, does not have the pedigree of scoring goals? Eddie Nketiah had a good tail end to last season, does not have the pedigree of scoring goals. You know, it's very volatile with the other players in and around our side. How are you going to score these goals? We know our midfield, you know, I don't know about buying Kai Havertz. Do you know what? It's a weird one because we'll get on to that. But I think yesterday was another game where you look at Jorginho, you did very well, in my opinion. Declan Rice, when you woke up, you was good. And who else was in midfield? Odegaard. I think you were all decent. But they're just, when you combine them all, it just, I said this before, it just feels like something's missing in that midfield. And defensively, and don't get twisted, when I'm talking about attacking, I'm talking about the whole team. When I'm talking about defending, I'm talking about the whole team. Defending, we've dropped off a cliff. It's been there against Luton. We've let ourselves down by our set pieces. Arsenal fans, myself included, we were waffling about how good we are from set pieces. You know, again, I'm not going to lie. First half was great against Liverpool, watching the game again. Hella chances. But again, you've got to put the ball in the back of the net and you have to kill teams. Jorginho said it a few weeks ago. And if there's any team you have to kill and make sure you're putting the ball in the back of the net, it's Liverpool. Second half, we slipped into old habits. The second goal, yeah, we're chasing the game. They've done what they're doing. First goal, unneeded, unnecessary, better yet, free kick to give away. Then, listen, Kyrgios, I think he was all right in the game in the grand scheme of things. I really like you, but you're not on what I need you to be on, bro. Like, bro, from your background, bro, you, man, are meant to be savage. Like, you're closing your eyes when you're heading like a wanker. Like, you're just not doing this thing really and truly. Like, and that's where indirectly it's all Mikel Arteta's fault. In the same way I praise him when things go well. In life, everything has to be your fault. If this was a business, which I hate to refer to Arsenal as, but if this was a business, yeah, and Mikel Arteta is the manager, the owner, the director, he might not be making failures indirectly, but everything is your fault. In the same way when I praise this guy, really, you know, the foundations are not strong enough. We have not fixed the roof when the sun was shining by bringing in a striker in August. I've said it before. I think in hindsight now, in August, I think we was treading very close to FFP than we're led to believe. Fair enough, committed a big bit of the budget to Declan Rice, rightly so. Timber, Wavy, you know, you wanted David Raya. All right, you're committing 27 million at some point and to get that done. Kai Havertz, I don't think it should all be about you yesterday. You should have scored. But if you're working with a tight budget and you need to get players that are going to move the needle, make you stronger in the league, improve on what you needed last season, in your own way, get you closer to Liverpool and City or achieve what they've done, how does Kai Havertz do that? How does Kai Havertz do that? Because it's another one of these players that Mikel Arteta has got that you can play all about the place. But what are you? And for what it said, I think relatively you did all right up front and when you went in midfield. But again, we're creating chances. We've got no shooters. Havertz does not know how to score. And to be honest with you, I think he was all right. But some of his shots, pathetic. Reece Nelson, pathetic. You know, Saka, pathetic. You know, in terms of them in the final action, you know, because the build-up play, all that stuff was there. But putting the ball in the back of the net is one of the, if not the most difficult thing to do in football. You don't do that, you don't win games, you don't go through in the cup, you don't do what you need to do in the Prem. The Prem is a pipe dream. The Champs is an impossible dream. FA Cup, I wanted that. Now I'm at the point, what I said in August, get me a top 3 finish, a respectable push for the Premier League title, you know, not show, and make sure the underlying metrics are improving, which right now they're not really. It can't keep being the same 3-4 players. You know, we're relying on Saka and Martinelli, who was on the bench. They're running out of gas. The midfield I've mentioned, there's just something missing. Defensively, we've dropped off. And to be fair with you, I think for the large majority of it, Benjamin White, Gabriel, Saliba, you lot stood tall. Kyrgios, that's probably the best 45 minutes I've seen in a while. But we're not getting out of the hood with Kyrgios, man. Like, I'm not doing the scapegoating thing, and I hope to be wrong. We're not getting out of it, bro. Like, yes, people can say he's not a left back, but whether you're a left back or a centre half, there's still basic anticipation skills you need to have. Kyrgios does not have that. And even if you say, okay, yeah, he's a left-sided centre half, Gabriel has to pull into those wide areas when we're building out from the back or when Zinchenko's gone. So you still have to be able to deal with that. And I feel there's a lot of Arsenal fans that come with a lot of fucking nonsense, if I'm honest with you. You know, oh, we're saving ourselves for later on in the season when we're going to be on it and things like that. It does not make sense. And like fans, the ones that love, that are positive, toxic and positive, negative, they both lie to themselves. The truth's in the middle. There's a lot of things to like about what Arteta and these players are doing. And there's also not a lot. Arteta, I need you to learn from your own mistakes, because these players are gonna cost you. You look at that squad depth. You look at who were relying on to score goals. You look at the defensive foundations. It was a fallacy. It was an illusion to ever think that we was going to do what needs to be done. And Mikel, you've spent bread, bro. You've spent bread a lot in the last 18 months. In particular, the signings have been all right, but you spent bread. I'm being a bit harsh, but Kyrgios 20 odd million quid. Fabio Vieira's 30 odd. Kai Havertz is 65 odd. That's around 100 million. And I'm not saying these guys are not quality, can't show their improvements and whatnot. Smash the like button, people. But could that money have been spent better in better areas? That's all I'm asking. Could it have been spent in better areas? So indirectly, everything is your fault, Mikel Arteta. You know, I think we have been in a couple of games where it's not that I don't blame Mikel Arteta, but definitely based on the first half with Liverpool, a bit like West Ham, I think you've coached the game plan superbly. I think it's been good. And I think the players haven't put the ball in the back of the net. But I can't just sit here and blame the players, because it's you who's doing the patterns of play and all of that sort of stuff. It does not make sense, really and truly. You know, I think we're running the young stars into the ground. I'm a bit peed off there's no Haaland debuts. You know, we haven't stopped the rut. I do think, just like the players or the team is a reflection of the manager. There's elements of naivety from Mikel Arteta. And I do think there's pressure on him because of the job. I do think the fans will put pressure. And I do think there's a healthy internal pressure. But is there pressure to the point where you're spending 65 million on Havertz? What are we seeing? Can we really get closer to the league? I don't think there is. I think there's an air of comfortability at this club. We're just happy to keep ticking over. We're not dying necessarily to do what needs to be done, man. As I said, I don't blame Mikel Arteta for the players not taking their chances, but indirectly I do. I don't think we budgeted properly for this season ahead. You know, we can't pull our star players or players that look tired out of the firing line because we simply don't have the depth. I don't think defensive standards have dropped overnight. I do think in the last few months, it's kind of shifted from us not creating any real chances to us failing to put the ball in the back of the net. But these things have still been there, you know. And again, I still think for the large part, I think the only times we've been outplayed is, yeah, fair enough, second half against Liverpool. We're absolutely crap against Fulham away from home. And the same said for West Ham in the League Cup. But I think that's a couple of times this season. But that doesn't mean anything, because I would trade places with David Moyes, with Klopp, with Emery, and just taking the 3 points. I think for the large part, the players and the manager have shown me they can have a plan, stick to it and do whatever, but we lack the necessary street smartness. Jorginho said it a few weeks ago. It's not enough to play well. When we smell blood, go for it. You lot that were part of my watch along, you heard me say, please don't get into halftime without scoring, because I don't think Klopp would have been happy. It was a dream of a start. You know, Nelson should have, you know, you should have got Ramsdale an assist, because that was a sexy ass pass from Ramsdale. If Raya did that, people be waffling. Lack of the final action is missing, but at the same time, it's a fallacy. If you expect Kai Havertz, Reece Nelson, Gabriel Jesus, Eddie Nketiah, none of these guys are sharp shooters. And the young players are very volatile. Saka's got double figures the last couple of seasons now, so he's anything close to a goal scorer. But you've played that man week in, week out and ran him into the ground. And there was times where we was looking at Saka and saying, boy, like, I'm really surprised how you're putting in these consistent performances week in, week out. Naturally, you're going to have to drop off. And they should be allowed that. Just like Saliba and Gabriel. I'm not saying I want anyone to play poorly, but they're human. They should be allowed to have bad games. It happens with everyone. You don't have bad days. We all have bad days. They can't. And if them players are not, we're in issues. Odegaard, I think he was decent yesterday. I have to big up Ramsdale and Jorginho. Ramsdale, you deserve the clean sheet. Jorginho, you performed a lot better than I thought. But it doesn't mean anything. You look at the first half, Liverpool had about 2 shots. We had about 13. The end of the game, what happened? That's what good teams do. You know, bit of street smartness, had to win without playing necessarily amazing, rotated side. That's the difference, really. That is the difference, really. And I don't agree with necessarily Arteta should be sacked if we don't win the Prem and all of these sort of things. But at the same time, if the underlying metrics do not show a proper improvement this season, you should on a case-by-case study, Arteta, there needs to be a meeting. Forgive me if I'm wrong, he's contracted until 2025. So at some point, if it ain't been done already, there's going to need to be a contract. He should be held accountable if he fails to mount a proper run of this Premier League, give a respectable account of this football club in the Champions League. In fact, if anything, you know, I've said it before, the FA Cup, since we've won it, Arteta has been shambolic. If I'm honest with you, the one thing that concerns me a lot more is, let's be real, the latter stages of European ties in the Europa League. You look at Villarreal, you look at Olympiacos, you look at Sporting Lisbon, where, yeah, the players have let them down, but 9 times out of 10, the damage has been done in the first leg. And again, good and bad, a team is a reflection of the gaffer, really, you know, and he must be held accountable for how individuals improve and how the collective improve, really. Let's be real. There is elements of regression this season. You know, we need to get back on it. The one luxury is it's been, you know, you've done some good this season. You've done some bad. We're in December. Anyone that wants to feel sorry for themselves or feel we can't achieve anything, F off home. If you cannot take the pressure, get out of the kitchen. Because there is something to salvage. Am I going to have a season I would love where I expect to win a Prem or I don't expect anything, but a Prem or a Champs? That's a myth, really. But we're shooting ourselves in the foot. We're doing silly things. And Arteta is a young manager and this is a young team. So I expect there's going to be bumps and bruises. But a mistake made more than once becomes a choice. And how many times this month in particular, I know old habits die hard, but how many times this month have we said the same things? Literally the same things. We're not showing discipline in our performance. In life, discipline, waking up, you know, getting X amount of hours, doing your task for the day. Discipline hurts. Discipline isn't easy. Discipline kills, which we showed at times. Discipline kills. But what hurts more? The feeling of installing discipline or the feeling of regret? It's definitely regret because you can't go back in time. There's nothing we could do now against Liverpool. Congratulations to Liverpool. Best of luck into the next round. Boy, it is what it is. And on these players as well, like, your standards have dropped. Your standards are dropped individually and collectively. Only a couple, man, regardless, can I say, are holding their heads high. Ramsdale, you did your thing yesterday. For the large part, Saliba and Gabriel, obviously everybody has to hold themselves accountable for what they did or didn't do for the goals. Ramsdale, I think you didn't deserve to concede 2 goals. Jorginho, I think you did well. Not really bigging them up, but I don't really personally know what Mikel Arteta wants Trossard and Smith Rowe to do in 3 minutes. I don't know. Even that, really and truly, when you look beneath the hood, how many guys have had to come off the bench and score goals for us this season? These players are not learning their lessons. They're not. When we got dramatic winners against Brentford and Luton, when we salvaged an equaliser against Chelsea, even the United game, let's be real, we weren't amazing. And again, a couple of times across the season, this happens. You know, sometimes you play well and get nothing. Sometimes you play effing crap and get 3 points. That's football. But it's now becoming a theme. And these players, you need to find your shooting boots. Every one of you. Listen, I'm not an idiot. I don't think you lot are missing chances on purpose. I think you lot are trying. And I don't think, simply put, I don't think a lot of you are cut out for it. But even if we sign a striker, whoever, which I think pretty sure everybody here, everybody wants a forward. Everybody needs a forward. Arteta said we need 100 goals. Unless it's Superman, what individual player scoring 100 goals in the league or across the season? So the rest are going to need to stand up to be counted. And when that one striker has an off day, what else is going on? Too much volatility. And again, in terms of the project Arsenal are doing, cool, I like it. It is what it is. If we remove that and we're talking about Premier League, there's more questions than answers. I don't know for the squad depth. I don't know who is able to put in 25, 28, 30 great performances across a 38-game season. I don't know when Saka and Martinelli are having an off day, because if they were in form, do you like what we was doing in the earlier part of the season? They score some goals, we scumbag some 3 points, no one cares. There's too many unanswered questions, really too many unanswered questions. Players are feeling sorry for themselves. You lot need to do some soul searching when we go off to Dubai, and you need to react against Crystal Palace. You know, I'm not Arteta in or out. I probably lean toward Brian. I probably lean towards more in at the moment, but there's no in or out. I care about Arsenal. If someone can find me a manager right now, and I don't expect anyone to, that can do what that can build on what Arteta's done and make us a Premier League title contender, Arteta, see you later. I like you. I like what you're doing. I think you can hold your head high, but I'm not one of these guys that's going to, like I said, Arteta could poo in his hands and clap, and people would say that's great. And I think Arteta could win a Prem, and there's some fans that will say, oh, he ain't won a treble. You can't big up this manager, say he's moving us in this direction, and then I'm not saying he should be sacked if he don't win a Prem, but not hold him accountable. And if you're not going to win a Prem, it needs to be a sustained challenge. If you're exhausting your limitations and these players are playing to their absolute optimum and we miss out, fair enough. But are we? Are we playing to our potential in the final third, regardless of not having a striker? Are we defending to our capabilities? Has he arrested everything in terms of depth, regardless of injuries? Has he controlled every controllable he can control? You tell me. I don't believe so. I think there's a lot of factors out of our control, but I also feel there's a lot of problems we've created of ourselves with loyalty to certain players, with not having amicable competition for certain players, with not being able to manage the workloads of certain players, with not having enough quality in depth. Yes, football is decided in the defensive and midfield third, but it's played in the middle. I mean, in the defensive and attacking third, but it's played in the middle. Do we have them real options? Big up Jorginho. He was great yesterday. But he's a guy, I don't know if you're going to do it next week. For every game like that, there's Chelsea away, and there's Spurs. I like Declan Rice. You're 30, but you can't do it all the time. Kai Havertz, I like you, but if I'm honest, the bar's on the floor. Oh, the God, I like what you're doing, but it feels like you're kind of in there. Listen, Saka's my guy. He's been off the pace, and ultimately he's dying by his own high standards. But and Saka has to hold himself accountable. Definitely finding his shooting boots. As I said, me personally, from I see Saka dye his hair, he must have lost his virginity, and he's dealing with multiple gal now, innit? He needs to get back to going to church and back to basics. But Saka has carried this fucking football club for years now. He needs to be given some protection. I'm not saying you're not saying that, but we're relying on man too much now. Needs to be pulled out of the firing line. It's ridiculous, really. Not just him, Martinelli as well. It's ridiculous. Yes, I love this romance of we're all growing together, but we're asking for too much. We're drawing blood from a stone. I'm sure physically he's knackered, but it's a thing where now mentally, just pull a man out the side, really and truly. Everyone needs to get with this, man. We all knew, again, it's easy for us to sit here. Maybe the club did try, but every football fan, every Arsenal fan, generally with balance, you could see we needed a striker from however long ago. You could see we needed a next winger. You could see Kai Havertz weren't the thing in the 8, even though he's done all right. You could see you needed another 6. Could see maybe another defensive option with Saliba. We're not learning our lessons. How much time, for the last 3 years, including now, the only difference with this year is we've had injuries from August. We've seen this movie. The last 2 years, couple injuries towards the tail end of the season. We've seen this movie. So it's either we genuinely believed in certain man or we're showing naiveties. And I think it is naiveties. You're not getting out the hood with Eddie and your first, second choice striker with certain man in midfield. You're not. And I'm not even dissing these guys. It's just the reality. We have failed to learn the lessons when we had the rub of the green, when we was winning without being amazing, when we was grabbing late winners, when we was even killing teams in the second half. Because there's elements that have led to our demise this month that was there against Wolves, that was there against Brighton, that was there against even Sheffield United, where we pumped them in the second half, that was there against Manchester United, that was there against Spurs, Chelsea, Luton, Brentford. There was these sort of things, man. It's absolutely ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. As I said, the feeling of regret hurts a lot more than the feeling of discipline, man. The performance against Liverpool, I don't think it was bad, but based on football being a results-driven business, it was. I'm not what some people focus on the second half, some people focus on the first. Fundamentally, we're out of the FA Cup. Not even unnecessarily, because on the face of it, if you go out to Liverpool, it is what it is. Like, there's no shame in that. But we shot ourselves in the foot. As I said, congratulations to Liverpool, man. They did what they needed to do, but they need to arrest this immediately. They need to arrest this immediately. They need to. And again, Arteta, through your assembling of the squad, I don't know, maybe it's psychological with these players, but if he come out and said we can't really sign a striker in January, it's more, unless a miracle happens and these players get over these psychological issues, we're not getting out the hood. A man said Where's the sim for rest of the season button? Nonetheless, what's good, my bro? DG, big up yourself, man. We're still here, man. Win, lose, or draw, it's appreciative to be with you. DG at inverted left back, maybe we'll start scoring goals. Never, man. Saddest day ever, DG. I'm down after the loss. You know what it is? You just need to keep going in this life, man. You can't make Arsenal mash up your thing. Big up you lot on Twitch and on YouTube. Smash the like button and appreciate you lot. Win, lose, draw, highs and lows. It's lovely to be here with you lot. I'm struggling to understand how and when the defensive problem started, because that's what we were best at this season. We're just now looking shaky on set pieces. Me personally, I got a lot of heat where I said we're an improved defensive side. We're not necessarily a good one. Statistically, we are good, but I don't think we defend to the standard of Premier League champions. I don't think there's enough pride with wanting clean sheets. I do think there's more of an element of that. But again, in line with the rebuild, cool, I big you lot up. If I'm looking at the lens with Prems, bro, some of these goals we don't concede. Some of these frequent goals. You lot keep hearing me say Luton. And I know mistakes happen. Balls get lost on a transition. People score from set pieces. This is football. This is what happens. But we're not learning unless we want to learn the hard way. I'm very disappointed to go out of the cup, both cups. You know, you can waffle about the Champions League. You know, some Arsenal fans are, we don't fear anyone in Europe. We take on anyone. We're saving our energy for later on in the season. Bro, stop lying to yourselves on both sides. Stop lying. He's under his apprenticeship, but at the same time, that's why there must not be any real pressure. Like, apprenticeship for what? Because what happens when Arteta wakes up one day and says, you know what, Arsenal thing, you won, love. Back to City, back to Madrid or wherever. Well, not even back to Madrid, going over there. Let's be real. I love what Arteta is doing. I like the guy. But you ain't this ain't Arteta FC, it's Arsenal. And we get done you a favor. Bro, imagine getting Arsenal as your first job with no real pressure. And on top of that, you know, Sugar Daddy Kroenke over there is giving you everything. Emre never had these things. Emre wanted Pepe, wanted Zaha, he got Pepe. Arteta's getting everything he wants. When you're getting everything you want, when you're getting bigged up, and I'm bigging you up as well, I have to hold you to high standards. I am not going to be saying what I've said in this 27 minutes about Arteta if I didn't believe in him. If I thought you was rubbed, I'm not going to waste your lot's time. You hear me talk about Cedric. You hear me talk about Saka, Martinelli, Mikel Arteta, because you lot actually have potential. I actually believe in you lot. But I don't believe we're blind optimism. I don't believe in blindly backing someone. I believe in if the sun is shining, tell people the sun's shining. If it's raining, I'm not going to tell you it's not raining. It's an idiot thing. The players, though, Arteta got his setup right, but the players miss his sitters. You are right, but at the same time, since Arteta walked in, when Liverpool and City, they still beat us, but there was, since Arteta's walked through the door, there's been games where the games have been tighter and there might be a little bit of individual brilliance from these guys and from these opposition teams and they win. We've been here before. We've been saying that. And again, it's a twofold. The players have to hold themselves accountable. Don't know what you lot need to do, but you need to find your shooting boots. But again, Arteta, yeah, you're coaching the setup, right? But have you got the players that's going to bag? Have we got cold-hearted killers in front of goal? A lot of these players are too emotional. And again, confidence is a big thing. Psychological aspects of football is really underrated because you go back a few months or last season with these chances that are being created and all these metrics, these men are bagging. But these men are young men and volatile guys. This is always going to happen. How many men in that team have resolute mentality? Like resolute. They're not getting too excited when we win or too disappointed. Me personally, I think Saka's got that, even with his confidence. Declan Rice definitely got that. Gabriel definitely got that. Saliba definitely got that. Sure, there's a couple other 1-2 players, but I should be able to say that about the 20-man squad. Every player that plays for Liverpool, past and present, and them squad players, they all reflect that. The same said for City. It's about time that said here. I don't know what Arteta was doing with that 87th minute sub. He's learning on the job still. Now he has to learn how to turn bad from form around from being on such a high, and he better quit. There you have it. The fact he won't sell Eddie and replace him with a better striker says a lot. Imagine putting Havertz up top when you're meant to be the backup striker. And I agree with that. But again, it's down to how you assemble the squad. At the same time, different games call for situations. I did understand why Havertz would play. He's more likely to be a physical problem from, in terms of winning the knockdowns. And he's got a bit more about his game than Eddie Nketiah. But I'm sorry, bro. Like, I love Gabriel Jesus. I love you. I think you're a quality player. The only mediocre thing you have is scoring goals. You play every week for Arsenal if you're fit, in my opinion. Pardon me. But games like Liverpool where it's going to come down to fine margins, Diaz got his shooting boots, bit of quality from Trent, whether Kiri or whatever, bit of quality. These are the metrics you need. We need a forward. You've got Havertz, who's not a cold-hearted killer. Eddie Nketiah, not a cold-hearted killer. Jesus, Brazilians, lovely footballer, doesn't know how to score goals. Saka and Martinelli, volatile. As I said in August, it would not surprise me if Odegaard and Martinelli in particular get the numbers they got last season. And it also wouldn't surprise me if they didn't. We're betting on a lot. And again, video coming out at 2 p.m. I've got my receipts. I don't try and catch people. I've got no agendas. My agenda is Arsenal winning, you know, and Cedric busting out of the club. But still, I can't lie. This is the lowest I've felt watching us in a long time. I'm actually nervous going into any game now. Is it the lowest I've felt? Nah. Not even the lowest point for me this season. Lowest point for me, easily, Fulham and West Ham in the league. Easily. No, sorry. Fulham in the league, West Ham in the League Cup. Havertz is a player in rehabilitation. How are you expecting him to bag goals? Bro, as I said, I'm at that point now. This ain't kindergarten. This ain't academy improving. Obviously, players need to improve. I'm at the point now. I'm accepting players for what they are until they show me different. And players in particular. Jorginho's in his... And he was good yesterday. But just to paint a picture, Jorginho, we know you can play ball. We know on the transition, you're going to be in problems. Zinchenko, we know you can play ball. We know you can't defend. Jesus, we know you can do everything but score goals. Eddie, we know you're hit and miss. Sometimes you're going to come off the bench, do a mad thing, score a hat-trick or whatever. Sometimes you're going to be anonymous. I'm at that point of accepting certain players for what they are. Like Havertz, anything you can do, honestly, Havertz is a bonus. And I don't think Havertz should be the talking point from yesterday. Some of the shots mediocre. But I actually think he was one of the better players. But that tells you the bar's on the floor, man. Arteta's still a young manager, but at the same time, you need to keep moving. Just because you're a young manager doesn't mean you're immune from criticism. You know, in the same way, if you're a young player and we know you could be a star tomorrow, we're going to talk day in, day out about, yeah, maybe you need to get your head up. You need to pass more and that. And I'm brave, I hear you, but I can't lie to you. I think you're bugging out if you think one signing is going to make the difference between Arsenal winning the Premier League or not. Because for me, even though City did it without Haaland, that tells me that all Arsenal need is that Haaland signing. That tells me, I know it's 2 signings, but where Liverpool are at, where they kind of fixed up their team, changed the mentality and all of that, and they brought in Alisson and Van Dijk, I don't think we're there. I think a striker boosts up our levels, turns some of these defeats into draws, these draws into 3 points, and ultimately more points on the board. I don't think so. I think it's a question of depth, really and truly. And when I say depth, it's not necessarily players coming in to be squad players. There's a lot of football, really and truly, and there's a lot of volatility around the Premier League season or football calendar list, basically. It was coming, DG, 4 months into the job and no significant attacking signings, running Saka into the ground, not to mention Havertz, who plays in slow-mo like he's on Kush. I can't lie. I think Havertz was all right yesterday. I'm not going to cap. Yes, he should have scored, but... Like, I'm at the point of like, bro, I can't get vexed about certain man. We have lost our attacking dynamism, especially out wide. Last season, we were bouncing the ball around and bodies were interchanging. Now everything looks stiff and rigid. We should have kept Balogun potentially if we're not going to bring a striker in. But again, how close were we to FFP and probably needed to sell him? And obviously, I would have loved for Balogun to get an opportunity. But there's got to be a reason, Pack. No Arsenal fans are waffling about Balogun because he's not putting his shooting boots are not there. And it's not as simple as buying a striker, as I've been alluding to as well. DJ Arteta's going on about it's unrealistic for us to sign a striker. If we ain't taking this seriously, it's unrealistic. We'll win any trophy, to be honest. And that Stuttgart striker's release clause is 50 million goal for him. But it looks like we've got a lot. It looks like we've got a lot of problems to address. It looks like we're in that weird scenario where we have to sell before we can buy, but we can't sell before we buy. And again, indirectly, Arteta and Edu have been in that. Like I said, I can't remember the video, but like I've been saying for the last few years, I do think for all your criticisms of Kroenke, myself included, we all wanted them guys gone. Any successes or failings on the pitch or in the transfer market, it is on Edu and Mikel Arteta, and indirectly it's probably even on Arteta. You know, if Arteta is telling Edu to get X, Y, Z, Edu is coming back with some shoddy alternatives, then I hear it. But at the same time, if Arteta is telling Edu to get certain things and Edu is coming back with certain things, whether that is renewing the contracts of Eddie Nketiah and Reece Nelson, whether that is bringing in Kai Havertz. If Edu is doing that, then that's on the gaffer. And even that, you know, I think we saw Balogun because we're close to FFP on top of him wanting to leave. I think we kept Reece Nelson because I don't think we knew we'd get a forward in, a wide forward. Don't know why there's not a striker. Obviously, someone's got to justify the Kai Havertz thing. Jorginho can't even track back to defend. We're a big club and we deserve better players. Even that. Jorginho's not a bad player, but there's certain conditions for him. This is another thing Arteta's been doing. You take players that are good on the peripheral and make them rotation options. You take rotations and make them starters. And then we're kind of surprised when they're not doing what needs to be done. We need confidence throughout the squad, belief that all these attempts are undoubtedly going to hit the back of the net. They've got to get themselves in. I do think Arteta is giving them belief. I do think the players started. I was impressed with the start. I do think the players, wanted to play well. I do think we started well. Perhaps Arteta has tried to change the tactics and it hasn't translated fully into the squad. Probably. But I think the only issue, the most evident issue is scoring goals. At our push, if that game happens last season, which means nothing, we probably win 4-5-1. But it weren't that. So it doesn't matter. I still back Arteta. I still like you. I'm not quite at the camp like you need to leave, but I don't follow man religiously. Yeah, and when you listen, Arteta, I don't know what you was expecting Trossard and Smith Rowe to do in 88 minutes, man. I don't know what the solution is, my guy. I don't know. But what I would say is everybody needs to. I just think everyone's got to do some soul searching in this football club, man. Forgive yourselves for any defeats. Hold yourself accountable for them defeats. Pat yourself on the back because in life it could be better, but it also could be a lot worse. And it's where you go from here. FA Cup, it's done. League Cup, it's done. Champions League, boy, give a good account of yourself. Premier League, all you can do is fight now, innit? It's really unrealistic. A lot of unneeded pressure on Saka. He shouldn't be relied on as a clinical goal. Bro, we're looking at man like he's Mo Salah, bro. And as much as I love Saka, this is why I'll always hold him accountable, but I always allow him. How many times for the last few years has that man been playing out of his skin? Now the man needs support. And for me, it's mad because I wouldn't I'm saying that, but bro, who are you gonna play if Saka's not there? You could say, you know what, cool, Martinelli, you was on the bench against Liverpool, Saka against Palace, you hold bench, Nelson, you come in, Martinelli go up there. But we need to win games, whether he's playing or not. Saka makes us a lot better at doing such. Big up yourself, Marcel, man. Be gracious, man. Marcel, I'm not even reading that. Go away. Bro, I'm not here for the young thing, bro. I'm not here for Arteta's a young manager and old habits die hard, but he's smart enough to learn things. The good things I like about Arteta, I think since the man's walked in, he's shown Pep, whether we won or not, he's shown he can give Pep, Klopp, all these guys a game. He's shown he can make difficult decisions. He's shown he can be brave and bold with certain tactics, but he's also got a lot of issues. There's not a single person who's faultless. Thoughts on Onana? Which Onana? There's bare dons. If you're talking about the Everton one, decent. But when I'm seeing ish like 80 million, boy, someone has to finish the goals, Jacob, bro. Chance creation, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, yeah. Since we've moved to the Emirates, maybe not so much under Unai Emery, more so when Wenger and currently under Arteta. Maybe not to that exaggerated extent yesterday, but how many times have you seen a first half like that where Arsenal have a bag of chances, hella shots, bare creation, and it weren't obviously Liverpool did more than this, but the opposition has 2 opportunities. Boom, that's it. We've seen this movie before. Arteta's even played in games that have gone like that. People will get on to me for this, but I would ride out with Havertz at striker if we don't really have the money to sign one this window. Praying for a good option in the 8. Couple games. Jesus, up front, man. I'm not on the Havertz thing up front. In certain moments and stuff, I'm all for it, but Jesus up front, Havertz, you stay in that 8 for now, innit? When we get that 8 and that 30 striker and the burden is lifted off certain people, then fair enough. Havertz, you look like you just found your feet a bit. And I did think he played all right in the false 9, but whether you're a false 9, a poacher, a target man, and no matter how much the game changes, strikers have put the ball in the back of the net. I'm at that point now where I can't be vexed at Kai Havertz for not scoring goals, bro. Like, yes, you should, but you've never shown you're a clinical batsman like that. Like, you've never done it at Chelsea. You've never been known for that at Germany. Definitely seen you miss some chances at Arsenal. Like, bro, I can't get angry at these things. Like, how? What evidence have we seen to suggest that Havertz is going to find these scoring beats? It's crazy, man. Like, I'm not on it, man. I'm not on it. I'm not on it, man. I hear it. I'm not on it, man. I'm not down for it, man. I can't. That FFP stuff must be true. I didn't want to believe it, but we were spending decent money for a while now. No Champions League football. So again, Edu and Arteta, you lot have been patterning the budget. You lot have to hold yourselves accountable for that. You lot have to hold yourself accountable. The Cronkies have left the money there. We know what Cronkies do. You've seen with all the sports clubs they own. They inject money. They leave. They put the right people in place, rightly or wrongly, and they leave you to your own divisive, relatively, and take a hands-off approach. I don't think you can sit here and get at KSE. Bread's been spent, bro. Man have spent money. People have spent 65 million on Kai Havertz. People have been allowed expensive failures at this football club. In Willian and his contract getting ripped up. In Aubameyang, of course, we didn't pay a mad transfer fee, but you've ripped up contracts. Money's been spent, bro. Money's been spent. Emre wanted Partey. You got Partey. We got Declan Rice. You know, there's a lot to like about Arteta, a lot to like about him. You know, end of the day, Saka has been going from strength to strength. Martinelli has been going from strength to strength. The world didn't want, well, a lot of Arsenal fans weren't convinced on Martin Odegaard. You made it happen. You brought in Declan Rice. You've patterned Saliba's development. You're doing your thing with Gabriel. Snake in Ramsdale. I'd love to even see, Raya ain't put a foot wrong, but it'd be nice to see Ramsdale play against Palace because indirectly, for the players on the peripheral things, wait, there's less game time for you lot now. You're out of 2 cups. Don't imagine you're going to get time in the Champions League. Speak. Boy, would you take a striker on loan from a Saudi club? And who's at Saudi clubs? Well, just go and find some Brazilian youth, man. Just go and find someone wavy. Like, I know it's easier said than done, but every strikers have got to start somewhere. All these strikers that we're waffling about, they have to start somewhere. I don't know, and it's not my job to know, but just find someone. Like, you know, obviously I'm just a normal football fan. We're going to talk about the strikers, but from August, the analytical department, there must be strikers of various different levels. Sign someone, man. Just make it happen. Eddie and Nelson both signed contracts, but he still doesn't trust them. Wait, Benzema, you know. Wait. Garassi, I'm not really convinced, if I'm completely honest, on Garassi, and I don't want my desperation for a striker make us just sign anyone. Of course, if you go and sign him and he's lit, fair enough. But I don't want to just do all of that. If I'm completely honest with you, it don't really make sense to me personally. I don't think the Kroenke is spending their money. More likely, they gave their permission to use much of the club budget. They're yet to invest their personal money into the transfers. Either way, if they've done that, then the money is still made available, bro. Like, end of the day, you're not bringing in Declan Rice for 100 odd million if the head honchos don't sign off on that. They back the man, like they back the man. It's not a Kroenke thing and all of that. Like Emery may have been able to have, or Wenger. It's not a that thing. Oh, Osimhen, easier said than done. Arsenal have limited funds available as they seek to remain compliant within FFP rules, and their preferred target, Tony, would cost around 80 million. Brentford are also reluctant to sell mid-season, and so Arteta likely faces the prospect of signing an alternative or going with what he has until the summer offers a more inviting climate to persuade Ivan Toney away. Now, Ivan Toney's given an interview, people, and said, you know, he wants to kind of repay Brentford for standing by him. Obviously, a bit of that is probably because he knows he's not really going to move on. But how nice would it be to have a man with 20? Imagine someone gets 20 league goals in an Arsenal shirt. It'd be wavy, man. Apparently, Juventus have informed Arsenal of the asking price for Vlahovic, 60 million. Oh, you better find that 60 million, man. But I don't even believe in none of this. Apparently, talks intensive currently ongoing between Everton and Arsenal for Onana, the Belgian midfielder who has always put his priority to stay in the Premier League, keen on the move. Find the bands. Find the bands. Where's the money coming from that? And I don't care how you do it. Allegedly, Emil Smith-Rowe is wanted by Aston Villa. He has started just once in the Premier League and once in the League Cup and got 3 minutes in the last game. This has gone from saying there's an 80 million asking price for Onana to a 60 million asking price. As we know, Gabriel Jesus missed out on the Liverpool game with a minor knee injury, and how long he's out for, I don't know. And again, I don't try to catch Mikel Arteta out, but I go off what the gaffer is saying. What my job is and what we have to do is improve our players and try to get better results with the players we have. Big up my manager for fronting up the music. Apparently, Arsenal have targeted Tomori. Bro, we know we're not getting no Tomori. Did I see the Ivan Toney interview? I did skim read it, but a lot of it's going to be lip service, really. So it's not really going to be of a help, man. DG, to be honest, if I was Arsenal, I would have signed Werner. Deals, big up yourself. But Werner, bro, he's not on it, bro. He's another pussycat, bro. Like, Werner don't believe in himself. I want savages. I'd rather shit players at this point that believe they're the best thing since sliced bread than players that are half decent, but every minute they need an arm around them. If we want to win a Prem, which is not going to happen this year, we need savages, mentality monsters. Liverpool, best example of that. I don't want players where 1 minute, oh, I'm the best, then I'm not. When things go wrong, don't think you're bad. When things are going good, don't think you're amazing. That level-headedness, man can't. I lie, bro. Man can't. Don't talk about Werner, bro. We already got enough headache, bro. We got Eddie and Ketia. We just come a long way from Rob Holding doing winks when we're losing to City. And man want these daffodil footballers. Allow it, man. Please. We've been linked with Pedri. Not in the mood to even entertain that, people. Not even going to insult you lot's intelligence with that. On a new striker, Arteta said, my job is to improve the players we have. At the moment, it doesn't look realistic. Boy, handle the peas. You're messing up the bag. You know, it's one thing getting money. It's another thing to maintain it. You're spending the racks. Got excited. Doing silly things. Allegedly, we're closing in on the signing of Bayern Leverkusen right back Frimpong after agreeing to meet his release clause. But the 40 million transfer looks likely to go through in the summer, with Mikel Arteta also dampening talk of a January move for Tony. We're signing all these guys in the summer, innit? Hato, Jeremy Frimpong. Still got to find the next 27 million to give to David Raya. Obviously, you'd imagine potentially Nelson and Ketia, Smith Rowe, maybe even Kirill. Ramsdale fans said that these lot may or may not be sold in the summer, and that could help us in relation to finding funds. But again, how many players have Arsenal sold for significant fees or decent fees? Balogun step in the right direction. It will be once upon a time. Joe Willett once upon a time. Other than that, you're doing this, and you know we're not too far down the line where we were just ripping up contracts. Would take Ferran Torres. You know what? Ferran Torres on loan. I'm not really with it, but it might have to make it happen. 2:00, people. For more extended Arteta thoughts, that video will come out. So make sure you're there for that one, folks. What else have we got? I use that as a thingy. Arsenal have gone out of the FA Cup in the 3rd round more often under Arteta than we did under Wenger. Since Christmas, we've had 56 shots, one on goal. Arsenal at home since Christmas, 43 shots, 0 goals. So put the ball in the back of the net, people. And as you lot can see here, 30 shots against West Ham, no goals. 13 against Fulham, 1. 18 against Liverpool, and none. Meant to be the Gunners, and it's like a blunt knife. Failed to score within our last 43 shots across 135 minutes of action at the Emirates. Something needs to be arrested. At the end of the day, you spent money. I do think there needs to be context as much as there could be, but money's been spent. With great power comes great responsibility. Our last 7 games, we've got 1 win. A club like Arsenal, it's always going to be crisis and doom and gloom when that's the case. And then the first half, Liverpool, get football, you have to kill teams, especially Liverpool. Liverpool are the comeback kings and all of that sort of stuff. You have to kill them. So look at the first half. 5 shots from Kai Havertz, 3 from Nelson, 2 from Saka, 2 from Liverpool in total. Klopp defo sat there and said, listen, the one luxury is these lot ain't got shooting boots. You don't need to wake the hell up and pack these youths. And that's what they did. But at the same time, Saka's form has been on the floor. Is anyone necessarily surprised? Smash the like button, people. Is anyone surprised Kai Havertz didn't bank? And at the same time, Kai, I feel sorry for you, but I feel wrong, not for you not scoring or having feeble attempts. I feel a bit wrong asking a lot of you lot to score because I don't think you lot got it in you. Like a lot of these players, but we're not getting to where we need to go to, people. And this was Arteta's comments last season in relation to our bagsmen. I think what they did last year, was exceptional. To maintain those numbers, we knew it'd be extremely difficult because it was a one-off, not just for us, a one-off in the league. So we knew that we need all the resources and all those kind of goals to maintain that level that we want in the league. So did we need to sign a striker? You go back last year or the year before, did Mikel Arteta not say, if you want to be serious, you need to get 90 to 100 goals? Where's that 90 to 100 goals coming in this Arsenal team? We got 80 odd last season. How was we going to get to that 20? When you lot find out, you tell me. And I'm not saying this to catch Arteta out or whatever. I just want the best for my football club. I just want to look like a damn team that's going to score goals. Like what? The way it's moving, we ain't going to have no goal of the month competition and whatnot, people. What's this? Arsenal bidding hard to sign crazy new gem for Arteta. Who's this about? Estavio William from Palmeiras. Would love the guy, man. Played at the under-17s World Cup recently, but he's got interest from PSG, Chelsea, City, and Man United, as well as Arsenal. And he seems like he has Barcelona from what you read on his wish list. Arteta has said psychological problems. So what's going on, people? He said probably it has, especially after today, more than it was against Fulham or West Ham before that. That's why I think we need a reset. This break is good. It comes in a good time. We're going to as well feel how we feel and how I feel about them in difficult moments. Hopefully I can see that from the other people too. When things are going well, they jump on the train. Now things are difficult. Let's see where they stand. Amen. it was really disappointing result with a big performance against probably the team that is the most informed in Europe. We were better than them. We generated much more than them. We created so much chances, but we didn't capitalize. So how were you better than them? I agree. I do think in the first half and majority of the game we're better than Liverpool. But then what do you judge as being the better team? Winning. They were more clinical with the chances they had. They went through. There's been times we've been on the other side of this. I would swap places with Eddie Howe, with Jurgen Klopp, with Unai Emery, with all these teams. It don't make sense. Who said Giroud recall? Boy. Henry, man. I'm seeing Henry doing Diary of a CEO podcast. Henry getting training. Ian Wright getting training. Where's Anelka? Getting training. Start training, man. Start training. Because what are these lot doing? And again, I feel a lot of these comments, if you isolate it and you didn't know we played Liverpool, this could be said for a few games, which again shows we need to arrest things. Ramping, man. Against these teams, you have to capitalize if you want to win. If you don't score in that box and you concede an own goal in the second like we did, it's difficult to win. We've heard this before. It's football and you have to realize the situation and know we're going to have to generate more and shoot better and arrive in better positions. But today we had plenty. Today we were better than them. We should have won the game. There's no question about that. Okay, but the one metric in their players having better decision making in the final third worked, and it's just that creation is okay. It's the final action. Like even Reece Nelson, I think he was one of the better players yesterday, but it might have been the first opportunity. Ramsdale's played you in. You're trying to play a cheeky one to the near post rather than get your head up. Come on, man. This is why you're not starting. This is why you're not starting. These man need to go to Dubai, man, and change the momentum and just breathe, man, and just breathe. Because I do feel sorry for you lot. I do think you lot care. You know, it must kill you as a human being to be working on something all week in training and then fans are coming out and criticizing them. Now you need togetherness more than ever. Saliba, I feel sorry for you. And we need to fix up. Well, my man's cutting to Madrid one day. I'm really disappointed because we started the game so well. We had too many chances to score, but we didn't. Even in the second half, we were good. Unfortunately, we conceded one free kick 10 minutes before the end of the game. We have to kill the game before, because when we have so many chances like this, we have to score. We have to defend free kicks better. We have to concede. We cannot concede them like this, so we cannot be really disappointed. Football's a 90-minute game. The first 15 minutes and the last 15 minutes. Especially against a team like Liverpool. I think every football fan playing Liverpool, once you see minutes 70, 75, you're like, okay, here we go. Whatever they put in their Lucas aid is going to start activating now. So again, indirectly, it comes back to game management. But he is right. We have to stick together. We know we're not in our best moment, but we won't give up. We'll come back stronger. We'll work a lot during this break. We'll breathe a little. We'll stick together and come back stronger and better. I believe in you, Saliba, you know. I don't know if everybody's on the Spartan thing that you're on, though. I'm not going to lie to you. I feel sorry for you, know, Kirio. I do feel sorry for you that you scored an own goal, but me, brother, you don't convince me, man. I don't know what it is I like about you, but there is something I like about you, but you don't convince me. Too many times I've seen you go up for headers, you're closing your eyes. You did that yesterday. You did that against Sporting. Never forget you against Brighton, playing around with your boot, terrorized against PSV. And Arteta, like, what's the point of bringing Donny here? Because I mentioned squad. And again, it's signings go wrong, and it's easy for me to critique this. Lokonga's not part of this thing, but 20-odd million. Vieira, 30-odd. Kai Havertz, 60-odd. Kirill, 20-odd. Could the money have been spent on other players? And maybe them other players would have come in with saying the same thing, but boy, I don't know. I'm just an honest Arsenal fan, just seeking my club to keep ticking over and go back to what they was doing. I don't know, people. Arteta said, against these teams, you have to capitalize if you want to win. If you don't score in that box and you concede an own goal and the second like we did, it's difficult to win. Oh, we've already said all of this, but we've started. We might as well continue. It's football, and you have to realize the situation and know we're going to have to generate more and shoot better and arrive in better positions. But today we had plenty. Today we were better than them. We should have won the game. There's no question about that. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Bro, we should have beat Barcelona in 2006. It didn't happen. It shouldn't happen. I should still be with my ex-girlfriend. It didn't happen. Like, you get it. The players need it because we cannot question their effort, what they've done today. And again, I do think it's harsh. That's why I feel a bit sorry for the players. I do think you wanted to put, end your recent run of form. I do think you wanted to start well. I do think there was a lot of positives to take from the game, but fundamentally the fact is we lost. We didn't score, conceded silly goals at the FA Cup, and the bad run continues. Those are unfortunately the facts. So take whatever positives they are and make them effing fantastic. Take the evident areas that need to be improved in this team and make it better and of a competent level. because life is going to keep showing you the same thing until you truly lose, until you truly learn. Sorry, you're going to keep learning the same lesson. And if Arsenal players are anything like me, it's going to be several times. I'm hard-headed. That way. Anyways, yeah, we have to change the momentum, that's for sure. We need our players and we need our people as well. In difficult moments, we'll stick together and get behind those players that, in my opinion, deserve so much. They appreciate that, and we stick together and do what we have done in the past. There's nothing new. Results will come and enjoyment will come. Inshallah, innit? Like, inshallah, like there's nothing else, bro. Like, hopefully. Why we didn't score today? Because the ball didn't go in the net. We didn't take the chances. I haven't seen any team in the first 6 months that have generated what we have done against them in the last 2 games and not capitalizing. So why is it us that's got to be the case then? Why is that us then? Not today. In the last few games, that's why we're not winning games. Performance-wise, merit-wise, there's no question. But to win the game, actually, the results say something very different. When my team plays with that attitude, with that courage, with that desire, and do what they've done to probably the best team in Europe at the moment in terms of momentum, what can I do? Stay behind them and support them. I hear that. But it's sounding like Coach Carter. It's sounding like Mighty Ducks, big man. Like, great. That's great. But, and you're right. You know, you are right in what you said. But unfortunately, sport is quite white and black. Did you win or lose? Obviously, it's not as simple as that, but did you win or lose? Are we in the FA Cup draw whenever that happens or not? I got my Spurs brethren supporters chatting crap saying, oh, we're further in the FA Cup. You see what I'm talking about? But hey, it is what it is, man. And he's asked us to stick with him, you know, when asked about signing strikers. I love you, Gaffer, but I ain't trying to hear that. Like, I know you're not going to tell us sign a striker, but like, you're going to sign one. But if you're not going to make it happen, I don't want to hear anything. He said it's frustrating, but what can we do? I cannot tell them to play bad, don't shoot. Liverpool's going to score an own goal and we're going to win the game. I don't know how to create a game plan like this. It's impossible. Stick with them. If we have 18, next time we have 35 and continuously do that, the ball will go into the net. We'll generate momentum and we'll win a lot of games, that's for sure. Inshallah. He then said Jesus had some pain. We hope that he's back sooner rather than later. On whether the Jesus injury and lack of goals have changed his mindset on transfers. Funny enough, before the injuries defensively and in midfield, Arsenal fans, you know, when it was looking a bit rosy, were saying, you know what, January striker. So, you know, you need a striker. You know, you need one. You know, you need several areas. One thing is what we need. One thing is what we can do as well. And what we need to do now is stay behind those players. Give them support, love them, train them, make sure they visualize something very different to what is actually happening right now. They've done it. We're not going to invent or reinvent the wheel because they've done it. Again, we've said it's a psychological issue. We've seen that. On Eddie not starting, it was for the reasons that we expected, especially in the first part of the game, what we wanted, and that's it. On if Jesus will travel to Dubai, yes, I think so. On the current climate of the club, well, of the team, it's very difficult. But if the team is getting hammered and not playing well and not deserving to win football matches, I would be much more worried. I agree with that. But the hardest thing to do in football is to play simple football. And the hardest, actually, is to put the ball in back in the net. That's why strikers are paid a lot. That's why they're the poster boys. Yeah. I'm worried because I love winning. And we have to win many more games. At the moment, that is the thing we have to change. And probably what has to be reset is up there in mentally. So yeah, patting yourselves mentally, man. What is there to say? And again, I covered this in the video coming out at 2 p.m. Yeah, but this is what I mean when I say I'm not trying to catch the manager or anyone else out. This is why I listen to the press conferences and things like that, because when you're talking, I need to see it correlating. This was in relation to when we beat Wolves, yeah? Now, obviously, disregard the fact that it's Wolves and listen to what Jorginho has said here. As I said, these issues have been there all season. Jorginho, the man himself, said it's a mindset, to be honest, because you have the game completely under control and all of a sudden you stop doing the simple things that you need to keep doing. The game looks easy and you start to play around, trying to enjoy the ball. But at the end, we need to put in our minds that we enjoy scoring goals and not just playing around and bringing pressure in situations that we don't need. Yes, I think we need to be more ruthless, especially in the Premier League. The game is never finished. When it's 1 or 2, you have to think you need 3, 4 and respect the game. And for the players that were here last season, elements of that West Ham away last year, elements of that against Liverpool last season. Hey, I do think there's a lot of positives this season. I do think there's a lot of positives that have been ingrained into this team, but fundamentally, balls need to go in the back of the net. We haven't had a bagsman since Sanchez 16-17 season. What? No, Aubameyang, no. We'll be having all that. We can't be having all them chances and not taking them. Big up yourself, Kay. I decided to book overtime at work yesterday because I wasn't confident against Liverpool. We need a proper striker, but 100 million for Tony is a stretch. Big stretch. We have to sell someone for that Onana deal. Surely, imagine breaching FFP for the Belgian long staff. Harsh, man. Yesterday, that game reminded me when we played United a couple of years ago where we created many chances, but De Gea couldn't be defeated that day. We still lost. Disagree because obviously Liverpool had a rotated side, but when they did wake up in the first half and second half, it wasn't that. I think Man United, you're right, but I think Liverpool were more even in that game. And I don't think Alisson had to make 1-2 saves, of course, but I don't think, you know, Alisson is going to get a highlights reel to what De Gea got at that time. And I mean, if we're in a point where knockout competition, we're relying on certain men to Havertz to score goals, then the gaffers signed up for that. When has Havertz shown you he's a leg man? So I'm trying to make a whole housewife. It don't make sense, but you have to be mad at yourself. I can't lie. I expected this. I've been telling everyone we won't win the league. So these upset don't burn me as I'm already prepared myself for this. But I'm not Arteta in or out. If we have to cut Arteta today and there's a gaffer that can do this thing, why not? But who are we going to get? And I'm not saying that to keep Arteta. Okay, I don't see enough to back Arteta religiously. I don't see enough to have pitchforks for the guy. I think there's a lot of concerns. I think there's music you need to face in the summer if things keep happening. I think right now, in the same way when everything's going right and we got Super Mikel Arteta and we're praising you and things, by that same logic, there needs to be accountability. I think there's a lot to like. But this ain't Arteta FC. This is Arsenal FC. And there has to be light at the end of the tunnel. If we're still trying to buy a left centre-back/left back and there's no winger to compete with Saka and only brought 2 forwards in 8 windows, there's questions to be asked of recruitment. We still want a midfielder as well. Boy. Palace want Nketiah for around 30 million. We can push to get around 40 to 50 to use the funds to get a quality striker, assuming Tony will be allowed to leave Brentford or whatever striker is on the market. Do you ever? Busting hella blanks, man. Saka just needs to thingy, man. Cool off, man. It's unfair, like, bro. It's not a miracle worker. Why do you think Smith Rowe only gets 3 minutes? Because Arteta didn't want to bring him on, didn't it? I think we should buy the Bournemouth striker. He has 12 goals already. Solanke. I hear a lot of talk about missing a striker, but for me, the gaping hole of the 8 row is a much more important issue. Competent 8 keeps the team ticking and transitions defense to attack flawlessly. I'm purposely not trying to mention midfield. You know, some of you have been part. I appreciate all of you lot whenever you started watching my channel, but some of you have been part of my channel for a couple of years. You can see the amount of videos and the amount of titles and how passionate I've been about addressing midfield. Edu and Arteta were midfielders. I'm quite bored of it. Character building, man. I think I'm leaning to Arteta out. Hear me out, not because of the losses, but the change of style of play I'm seeing with a new. Listen, I don't know, man. I think I wouldn't sack him today. But if there was a guy that does similar things to Arteta and he can kind of assure me that he can take this thing further, if Xabi Alonso became available, if someone like that or somebody else, then I'm all for it. And well, that's what I think, innit, really. Not backing him religiously. Not attacking the man religiously. Yeah, man. Saka needs to get back to basics, starting with, bro, go to an IC free barber. Stop going to all these HD cuts and doing these fancy things, bro. You're losing yourself. Everybody, it seems like Arsenal as a whole, there's an identity crisis. And for me as well, players are not playing with a smile on their face again. Only certain man. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I think Odegaard's been all right in the last few games. Not well enough. But I'm seeing Odegaard G'ing up the fans and I'm seeing Jorginho with it. I'm seeing Saliba and Declan Rice yesterday. Aaron Ramsdale, I'm seeing you with it. Benjamin White into the second half. You was on this thing. Havertz, you was putting yourself around, but the bar's on the floor. You know, a tradesman can't always blame their tools, but when you're buying the tools and putting them in the toolbox and ultimately you're trying to do certain jobs that they're not cut out for, you have to blame yourself. And that's what it feels like, man. It's like we're digging for gold with a toothpick. It's not making sense. Boy, what a long way from Alwa. And we bust case because I wanted Alwa, but Alwa, you ask me again, I'm saying lying, but he's probably on Edgware Road right now, but he's not serious. Boy, man said Mbappe, listen, Football Manager if you want Mbappe. DG start Ramsdale against Palace. I don't think Raya deserves to lose his place. But I feel sorry for Raya. I don't think he will. But you can make a case of it because I am getting to that stage now where if everybody's stinking up the place, then maybe play 1-2 players that are struggling for game time or have a reason to want to perform, whether that's putting in a Ramsdale, a Smith Rowe, a random Haylender, whatever, I don't know. It is what it is, man. Arteta's tinkering too much and not dealing with the big issues. I hear that, but in the last few games, what has he tinkered with? What really has he tinkered with? Because really, he needs to tinker a bit more. Like, what has he really tinkered with in the last few games in this trouble period for us? There ain't really been mass tinkering. That ain't been there since August, if I'm honest. I don't know, though, man. I don't know, man. It is what it is. Well, I swear we got Crystal Palace at the weekend. Thank the Lord we don't have that many games in January, so that might be of a benefit, but yeah, man, this has made me feel a lot better and sorts talking with you lot about Arsenal. I'm going to eat my lunch, people. Again, more videos to come out. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. I enjoyed you lot's discussions, difference of opinions, etc., etc. I hope you've all had a great week to the start to the week and all had a great 2024. So yeah, big up you lot, man. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't. Big up you lot on Twitch and Twitter. Safe.
There's always that active red flag, defending.
I think it's like